I feel like the question, what do you do, determine how that conversation will continue.
What advice would you give someone who wants to start a business, wants to start a restaurant?
I will say persist. I didn't want to have the what if when I'm 60, 70 and be like, oh, I should have done this. But if you have any inclination that you want to do something, do it.
A lot of us aren't honest with each other.
I feel like the question, what do you do, determine how that conversation will continue.
What up? It's your girl Motivation with V, and this is a Get Real with V, where we're going to get real, we're going to get raw, and we're going to get down to the truth. And I am your host, Veronica Suazo. Welcome back, you guys. Today is another amazing episode full of gems, and we have a guest today. And I'm super, super excited because I met Martin through my last job. The power of community, but not just the power of community, but the power of like actually building genuine connections. And the moment I met him, like we both were just like here. So to have him here on the podcast and having him share his story, his upbringing, the struggles, the triumphs of building his restaurant from the ground up, I'm excited to have you on here and share a little bit about that and get the people to hear more about you, your restaurant. And yeah, so I won't say too much. So as I mentioned earlier, I met him through my job and we've just been connected ever since. We've done a lot of at my old job, we did a lot of events with his restaurant. Amazing, amazing food, service, drinks, anything you can think of. So if you need any restaurant or a catering at your event, go to restaurant right here, downtown Oakland, in the heart of Oakland. So without further ado, let's let you introduce yourself, who you are, a little bit about you,
Okay.
and we'll go from there.
Okay, you got it. Well, my name is Martin Ladera. I am originally from Peru. I always tell people, because people always go, were you born in Lima? And I'm like, no. And I'm actually proud to say I was born in the jungle in Peru.
Ooh.
Yeah, in the northern part of Peru, in a place called San Martin as well. My parents just happened to be living there. I grew up in Peru. We moved around. I lived in the jungle. I lived in the coast in Lima briefly. And then my upbringing for primary school happened in the Andes, in a place called Huancayo, which is pretty high up. And I lived there. I lived in Peru until I was 11. And right about that time, around the late 90s, early 91, is when things weren't very nice in Peru. There's a lot of terrorism and, not so good things. And it just so happened that Japan had opened their doors to anybody who is a descendant. And my grandmother happens to be half Peruvian, half Japanese. My great grandfather was from Fukushima, and he landed in Peru in the late 1800s in the very first ship that went from Yokohama to Callao, and had two children. One of them was my grandma. So I moved to Japan when I was 11. Yeah,
Damn.
yeah. And that was crazy. That was shocking. I have a lot of memories of that time and thinking, I think like many Latino kids, back home, they see images of LA, New York, the big cities, how cool it is. And I too, at some point, was like, it'll be really cool if one day I could go to LA. That's a dream come true.
Mhm.
And the funniest thing about that is that the first time I went overseas was not to the US, it was straight to Japan. And I landed, we stayed in LA for one day, one night, and we continued on to Tokyo. And I ended up living in Japan. So yeah, I grew up in Japan from age 11 until 20. And then, as one does when you fly the nest, and it's like, I need to get out of here. I need to get away from these people. No. I love my parents, but I did. I wanted my dad was always a traveling sort of person when he was younger. And I think I inherited that from him because I was very adventurous too. And so instead of saying, "Hey, I'm going to move from," I grew up in close to a big city called Nagoya in Japan. And instead of saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to Kyoto or Tokyo or whatever," I was like, "I'm going to go to the States, and just get as far away as I could." And originally, I was going to go to New Jersey, where I have family from my mom's side. We went there, checked it out, checked the schools. I was like, everything's ready to go. Then on the way back to Japan to sort of gather my things and get ready, I had some cousins that lived here. Some of them still live here. And they were like, hey, you should stop by and, we'll show you around California. It'll be great, blah, blah, blah. And so I did. I changed my flight, landed in SF. I was here for a few days. And I was like, I guess I'm not going to New Jersey anymore. And I changed it right there and then.
You just loved it?
I loved it. I loved it because I feel like the weather in the East Coast is very similar to Japan,
Mm.
where it's really hot and humid in the summer and it's super cold in the winter. So I kind of wanted to get away from that a little bit as well. And the weather here is perfection.
It's like right in the middle.
It's crazy. I'm like, there is days in February where I'm like, this is amazing. Like, why is it sunny and beautiful? We don't, I always tell people that I don't think we really have a winter here.
Yeah.
It's very mild. I mean, we get rain and all that, but the
Mhm.
amount of times that you're actually like, oh my God, I'm freezing. I need 3 layers and the thick socks and the hat. Never.
That's true.
Yeah.
Although lately the weather has been crazy.
Yes. Like this morning with all that wind, I was like, what is happening?
The past couple of days has been hella windy.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
global warming.
I know.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah. But anyway, that's me. And yeah, I've lived now in America and in Oakland specifically. The longest I've ever lived anywhere. I've been here since 2000, so 26 years.
Nice. That's a long time.
Long time.
Do
long
you see a
time.
difference like from living here in the States compared to like growing up in Japan?
Oh, definitely.
Do you
Yeah.
miss it? Would you ever?
I do miss it. I do miss a lot of aspects of Japan. If I'm brutally honest, I
Of
will
course,
say,
yes. This is Get Real with V.
yeah, I love it. I love it. I think the safety aspect is the biggest one
Mm,
because Japan is extremely safe. I mean, kids in Japan, when they're in first grade, second grade, they literally walk to school on their own. It's
wow.
that safe, and if they get lost or
That's really
whatever,
good.
adults are pretty good at be like, hey, no, you gotta go this way, that way. Where are you going? Kind of deal.
Yeah.
But that the worry of you go out. I mean, of course, things happen. It's a country with millions of people, but it's really rare, and for the most part, it's super safe.
Mm.
I always tell people like, what's the crazy thing about Japan? And I mean, I lost my wallet in Japan when I was younger, maybe 3, 4 times, and it was always mailed to me with everything.
Ah,
So they actually took money out of their wallet to post my wallet to me. No
yeah.
name, no nothing. Um, if you go down to a supermarket or a convenience store, like 7-Elevens are well known in Japan for being
I
like
want to go just for that.
super beautiful and super stocked and really bright. So, and they're everywhere. They're in every corner. So in winter or whenever, people will go, grab a 6-pack of beer or some food, or I forgot something. You drive up to it, and a lot of the people in winter will leave their cars on with the key in the ignition.
Wow.
And the thought of like, should I turn this car off and like lock it? It doesn't even cross their mind. And that's crazy.
That is crazy because,
Yes.
we're in Oakland right now.
That's not
We're not
happening.
leaving the
That
car
car
keys
is
in the.
gone, my friend. And not even
Not
just
in
in Oakland,
Yeah,
but
everywhere.
in
San
general.
Francisco.
Yeah.
Anywhere in America. Let's just be real.
So yeah, I do miss all of that. I miss and my formative years were in Japan, so I miss a lot of that. I miss the food. All of my friends are still there. We communicate luckily now through social media. Um, so yeah, I do miss it. But there's also a really cool vibe that comes with living here in 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 America in general, but I think in California and specifically in the Bay Area, which I do love. I think the Bay Area it's just amazing that you can drive 15 minutes and be by the beach in Alameda.
Yeah.
Or if you want to go further, you can drive for 10, 20 minutes and go to a mountain to go hike. You want to see snow, you can go to Tahoe.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
true.
that's pretty crazy to me. The fact that all of this is available, and it's not even that far. You can go to beautiful campsites, that we're surrounded by nature. And I think the diversity of the Bay Area and Oakland is amazing to me.
Yes.
We always, I have an 8-year-old daughter, and we're always making sure we help her see
Mm,
that diversity is not only wonderful, that she's surrounded by it, but it makes all of us better, you
I
know?
love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, and it's crazy because I think people are sort of forgetting that nowadays, especially nowadays. Um, but the funny thing is, one of the first books that I read when I was in ESL class, because when I got here, my English was non-existent. So I actually signed up for ESL classes at Lenny College. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I started from
Okay.
zero. And one of the first books we read was The Melting Pot, which is basically about diversity and why all of that makes America what it is, and it makes all of us who we are, and it makes us better, you know.
Mhm.
But I think people need to kind of remember that.
I love that. I've never even heard of that book,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I think it's beautiful, that that was, like, one of the first books he read
Hmm.
about diversity, and it's true, like, we do need to remember that we're all different, right?
Yes,
We come from different places, we have different languages, different cultures, different traditions, beliefs, and that's what makes it beautiful.
I agree. I think having, I have friends who are Greek and friends who are Chinese and, European and German and you name it,
Yeah.
Mexican, Nicaraguan, and all of that makes us better because you get things from them that you normally wouldn't,
Mhm.
just from your own culture, in my case, Peruvian, Japanese. And I also impart other things onto them. I tell them stories about how we do things in Peru or the food or the culture, everything. And it makes it so much more richer, than,
Yeah.
I mean, in Peru, everybody knows everything about Peru and the food, and it is just as nice. But the fact that here you could literally say, you know what, I want to eat Ethiopian food today. There's restaurants. I want to eat Greek food. There's restaurants. There is literally every type of restaurant you can imagine. That to me is amazing.
Mhm.
You go to a store and you can find almost anything that you need from almost any country. It's usually there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Hmm.
And I have a question for you because you mentioned that you came here and you had to learn English.
Yeah.
So does that mean when you were in Japan, you learned how to speak
Japanese.
Japanese
Yeah, yeah.
and you mostly spoke that? Or
All Japanese. So when I got to Japan, we actually landed on the West Coast, to a place called Kanazawa, where my dad was working at a subsidiary of Toyota called Hino. But Hino specializes in making buses, trucks, and things like that. But anyway, it turns out the whole migration into Japan of mainly Latino families from Peru and Brazil are where the biggest Japanese congregations are,
Mhm.
was super new. So I sort of don't blame them. But when my parents went to, City Hall and they were like, hey, my wife and my son and my mother have arrived and we want to put him in school. What's the process? And they wouldn't take me in. They did not. So basically, it wasn't malice. They just said that they didn't think they could take the responsibility of putting me into the school system and failing,
Mm.
at catching me up and teaching me the language. Because they're like, it makes sense. They were like, we're a school for kids to learn, math and language and this and that. We're not exactly a school where we're equipped to teach this young boy the language.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. But the only problem is because they wouldn't take me in, we had to move to a whole different prefecture,
Mm.
um, on the East Coast, called Mie, which was pretty country, pretty rural. But one of my dad had met this group of Japanese ladies who were teaching the men who were coming in Japanese on the weekends. And one of them said, hey, my sister is married to a guy who also owns a small factory and he could use your help. And he's saying that he is willing to go to City Hall over there and guarantee, like, he will take the blame, if anything,
Mhm.
as long as they will put your son into the school system. And so we did. So we had to move. We had to move for me to be able to go into school in Japan. Yeah. So
Damn.
this is in 91. I want to say it was October, November, maybe. It was pretty crazy. Just getting into the school system
And
was,
getting into that school system, you had to learn Japanese.
Yes.
in order to
So
get in, right?
no. They allowed me to go in.
Okay.
It was. I feel like we could do an episode just for this. Because basically what they did is, and this was also super difficult at the time, is even just sourcing dictionaries that were Japanese Spanish because they didn't really have the need for it.
Yeah.
I remember we had to order them from Tokyo, from the capital, and it took about 2 weeks for them to arrive.
Damn.
So the school basically bought two. One was Japanese to Spanish, one was Spanish to Japanese. And they brought that into the school. And while I learned the language little by little, by just being there and being completely immersed in the language, 6 days a week, 5 days a week, at least I had the ability to, look at this dictionary and point at something. Like if I wanted to say, hey, do you want to play with me? And just point at it. I have a photo. I should have brought it. I had a super cool photo that somebody took, presumably one of the teachers, where it's me sitting next to one of my friends from school, this Japanese kid,
Mm-hmm.
and we have both dictionaries, and I'm pointing at it, and so he's looking at it. So we're communicating like that.
Through. Oh my
Oh yeah, it was
god.
super it was like that. But at the same time, I will say I got very lucky because I was actually taken in by my class. I wasn't outcasted or pushed
Oh.
aside. They for the most part, as far as I can remember, they all took me in and they were very curious. They see this little brown Latino boy in a very rural Japanese town.
Yeah.
I was definitely the first foreign kid in that school system. It was pretty crazy, but I loved it.
Oh, I
I
love
do
that.
remember that. I remember loving it and being happy, and everything is new to you, right? They pick you up and they drop you in this unknown place
Mm.
where you don't know the culture, the language, anything, and everything is new to you every single day. So that was pretty cool,
I love that. And that just reminds me of like even just my parents like coming from El Salvador y Honduras to
right?
here at California and them having to learn the language and
Yeah,
maneuvering all these things. Like it's something we don't like really think about.
very true, very true. I think well, once that generation remembers it, right? Because they lived it. But once you get to the second generation, in this case, you or my daughter, you hear the stories, but so a little bit of it, but it's true. I mean, the struggle is real, for sure.
Damn, you went through the struggle, huh?
A couple of
But
times,
you made it and now
yeah.
you know how to speak the language, right?
Yes, I'm fluent. I read it, I write it, I speak it. I love it. I definitely don't want to lose it. Every chance that I have, I practice it.
So you're trilingual?
Yeah, yeah. The
Nice.
Japanese part is pretty cool, though. I do love saying that because people see this and
Uh-huh.
they're like, Japanese? Like how, And
Yeah.
when they hear me talk, they go, what is happening? People literally freeze and they look at me like they're so confused. Like, what's happening?
I love that.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Okay, let's get into how did you came from Japan, you came to SF, and how did the journey go for you to even like think of opening a restaurant in Oakland?
Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, Veronica, I think it was pretty organic. And what I mean by that is, while I was in Lenny College, you got to feed yourself, you got to pay bills, rent, this and that. I saved for a year in Japan, knowing that I was moving here. I wanted to have a cushion. So I
Good.
saved for a year. But when you get here, then you start paying rent and this and that, and money starts disappearing. So
Mhm.
so my first job in the restaurant industry was thanks to one of those cousins, Miguel, who now lives in North Carolina. He worked at a small Italian restaurant on Park Boulevard. It's not there anymore, but it was called Pastinos. People that are local will probably remember it. And it was owned by this Italian guy called Salvatore. And it was a small restaurant, very small. When you go in at Park Boulevard, there's a tiny little congregation of shops and restaurants.
In San Francisco?
No, here in
In
Oakland.
Oakland
In Oakland.
Boulevard.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah,
But
but it's a cute little neighborhood, if you may.
oh, okay.
It's on the way, if you're in downtown Oakland, it's on the way of going towards Montclair. But anyway, that was my first exposure to the restaurant business. He was a server there, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you come and help me out, and you can be a busser?" And I was like, "Okay, I don't know what that means, but I didn't. I knew nothing about restaurants." Um, And so I did. I started working with him, and he was a server, I was a busser, and it was busy. Like we were running around. So I worked Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I made my little bit of money, my hourly plus my tips and all that. So that was the beginning. And I think the trajectory for me into the restaurant industry happened organically in that way. As I continued to study, you know, then you have more needs and you need more money. So you go from busser, then you realize the money is not enough. So you better start learning that English so you can be a server at some point.
Yeah.
Um, and so I did. I lie through my teeth. It's
Hey,
funny
you gotta
because
do what you gotta
you got to
do.
do what you got to do. It's funny because when you go interview, and this is something that I always tell people, when you go interview for a job, a lot of times they go, "What's your experience?" But if you've never done that job, if it's your first time being a server or a barista or a bartender, and nobody has given you that opportunity, how could you have experience? You can't.
I've been saying this
Yes.
whole
It's
time.
yes.
I'm on a job hunt right now, and
Yeah.
that's like the one thing they're like, "Oh, you got no experience." Well, yeah,
That's
I have
what
experience at my internship,
right.
but you're gonna give me that
You're trying
experience.
to give me that experience. It's that's hilarious to me.
Ah,
So,
I appreciate you bringing that up.
oh yeah. So I actually love it when people, and I always tell people that I interview for jobs now that I have the restaurant. So you can be honest with me. If you've never done the job, you can tell me that, and maybe we'll start you here with the intention of getting you from A to B. You know,
That's a good leader right there.
you have to. Thank you, but you have
Seriously.
to because we all go through the struggle. We all need jobs to live and
Mhm.
pay for yourself and this and that. But if you don't have that somebody who gives you that opportunity to at least prove to them that you're willing to do whatever it takes, then you're never going to get there. I am pretty sure the people that interview me and they were like, "Have you waited tables before?" And I was like, "Yes." I'm pretty sure they were like, "No, he has not." I know they knew. And in fact, I interviewed with a GM of a restaurant in Pier 39, and he was the GM, and I knew that he was the GM. I was so nervous. And he goes, "Okay, so you've been a server before, cool. Okay, let's pretend that I'm a guest." And I my heart just dropped because I've never done it.
Oh, I hate when they role play.
I know I've never done
That's
it, so I don't.
I'm dead. Go ahead. Tell
I
us.
can't even tell you what I did. I'm sure I just did my best. And my English was also terrible at the time. But he was like, "Okay, you're hired." And I was like, "Wow." So he gave me the opportunity. I did ask him at some point. He knew that I was lying through my teeth. But he said, "But I love that you tried and
Oh.
you clearly wanted the job." He goes, "So we took a chance on you." So I think the people that take a chance on you are extremely important in your
Mm.
life.
Mhm.
100%. So I always try to do that too. Like, for example, now at Bocanova, I always tell my employees, we train you from within. So, and I have, now employees who have started as hostesses who are now lead servers, employees who have started as bussers who have then gone on to become food runners. And I tell them, learn the language because you need it. You're going to need it. You communicate with people. People that come and sit down at your table are going to ask you a million questions. So you need to be able to communicate with them. But as soon as you can prove to me that you can, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
You just need to be able to understand each other. I will give you that chance. My hostesses started as hosting, then they will help the bar when it was busy, and then we will help them. We will train them on the spot. Be like, do this, do that, don't do this, do that. This is how you sort of approach the question of like, would you like something to drink with your main course or just arrive, things like that.
Yeah.
And then they go on to become servers, and then we just hire a new host, and the cycle sort of continues.
That's good. No, that's not good. That's great leadership. And I appreciate you saying that because there's so many leaders,
Yeah,
managers that don't see it that way.
yeah,
And it's so important as you bring in new people and as you bring in these Gen Z or like
yeah.
young people that need a job. A lot of them just everyone learns different,
Right.
right? You just need to give people a chance to prove themselves.
100%.
And I'm the same
100%.
way.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
managing at my old job. I was managing like 8 students, and a lot of them it's their first time, they're in school and they just
Mhm.
want a job, and I'm like, I give them a chance. That's what it's about, and, um, vocalizing to them and letting them know what your expectations are and
Right,
that you're willing to work through it with them
right.
is important.
Super important. It's good. I think, yeah, the idea of having a crew where everybody has their job set and keeping them in that position is sort of the easy way of doing things.
Mhm.
But I take pride and pleasure in helping people develop themselves and becoming better.
Mm.
I always tell my employees, I had a few employees who had left the restaurant to do bigger things. One of them has gone to become an air traffic controller, which is he was a bartender, phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's interesting when you become the boss. It's interesting when you see people come to you when they're about to leave, and there's that nervousness of like, how is he gonna react when I tell him? For me, I always tell them, I'm always gonna be happy for you if you're gonna go on and do better things. I have an employee now who is studying to be a nurse or a radiologist, and I always tell her, the day you tell me that you're putting in 2 weeks, I'm gonna be so happy for you because you're moving on to do what you're studying to do. I have another amazing employee who does real estate. Same with her. I always tell her, one day you'll have your own company and maybe you'll bring the clients here, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm always gonna be happy for them. But for me, I think the main thing for me when I became a manager back in the day was just to make sure I try and create an environment where my employees are happy
Mm.
to come to work, because there's nothing worse than waking up in the morning and dreading going into a job. And I've been there. Sometimes in the restaurant industry, it's hard when you're an employee and you have managers who unfortunately are maybe not the kindest. Sometimes you're just a number to them. you know they want you to come in, do the job, and see you later.
I hear a lot about the restaurant
Oh
industry, just how
yeah.
it is in the kitchen
Oh
too.
yeah. It's tough. And I will say I'm lucky that I have a business partner in Chef Rick who also thinks the same way. He wants his people to come up from within. He wants them to start as a dishwasher, then teach them how to be a cook. Then ideally, they go on to become a sous chef. And eventually, if he retires, then they'll become the chef. I love that. I think in order to create a good team environment that sort of feels like a family, but you know that they care about you and the restaurant and everything, you have to do that. You have to give people the respect that they deserve, and help them feel safe where they work and happy,
Mhm.
so that they will continue to work for you, and do a good job.
Yeah.
You know,
You have the sauce. That's the secret ingredient,
it
seriously.
is
Just being a genuine person and actually caring about your
actually
people,
caring
and guess
is the
what?
key. Yeah,
Then they care about you, and then they're
exactly.
like, "How can I help you, Martin?
Yes,
I'll do overtime."
yes.
Right? It's like, "You scratch my back, I scratch your back," kind of ordeal.
100%. I mean, we're all humans, and I always tell them that. I always tell them I'm always going to do my absolute best to accommodate life, right?
Mhm.
Because we have lives, we have moms and dads and family and kids and all that. And sometimes in the restaurant business, there's this expectation that no, if your schedule is Monday to Friday, you better not call.
Yeah.
And I'm like, doesn't work like that. I'm okay with you if you're sick or you feel like you need a mental day or you can come to work. As long as you help me try to find that coverage,
Mhm.
I'm good.
I hear
Go do
you.
what you need to do because you got a life too,
Yeah.
you know?
Ah, that's
So
beautiful. I wish a lot more, jobs could be like that.
I would agree. I'm trying to do my part in
Yeah,
in at least within
and
my
you.
house and my four walls, making sure that my people feel that way. And I think they do. I think they do. I always check in with them. They seem happy. They do a good job because the restaurant industry is hard in and on itself.
Yeah.
It's difficult to deal with the guests because there's needs and there's moods and there's this and there's that. And our job is to sort of make sure that when you come through that door, you sit down, you might be super happy because you got a promotion. You might be super sad because you just got fired. You might be depressed. You might be whatever. Our job, the way I see it, is to make sure that when you leave, you are way better. You feel better. You're fed, or you had a nice glass of wine, or we had a conversation. We made you laugh, whatever. But I
Mhm.
want my purpose is to make sure that those people, when they leave, they're happy and they go and they think, you know what, it was a great idea to come here today.
Okay, so it sounds like you literally started from busser and you
Mm,
worked your way up in the restaurant
hmm.
industry to now being an owner
Yeah.
of Bocanova. That is insane, but I love that because you literally have done every position and you know how each one works.
Oh, yeah.
And I think as a leader, as a manager, as a owner of anything, being able to do those jobs is important because then you are a lot more compassionate and understanding when someone's like in that position
Yeah.
and learning and trying to voice themselves of how they can make their job better, you know. So that's cool. I like knowing that you started from the bottom. But what made you want to open up Bocanova? And not only that, open it up in Oakland,
Yeah.
a place where I feel for a long time, and even now, I think it's
Right.
gotten a little bit better. I feel like Oakland is looked at as like very negative, a place that's unsafe.
Yeah.
And before it started to grow in downtown Oakland, there hasn't been a lot of foot traffic.
Right.
So like what made you bet on Oakland and just saying this is where I'm gonna do it?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the reason why. I mean, I Oakland is the city where I landed when I first came to the States.
Mm.
And even when I landed, even my own family was like, "You gotta be careful. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't go here. Don't go there." But coming from a place like Peru, you know, I love my country. However, there are places in Lima where I would not go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
it's
always
just
places like that.
you gotta be careful.
Oh, absolutely. But there's a beauty in every city, and I always feel so sad for Oakland because the way I see it, it's a stunning city. It's beautiful. The architecture, the people, the weather, everything, the diversity. And all you see, all you hear is people bashing it and bashing it, and Oakland this and Oakland that, and Oakland is unsafe. I'll tell you something funny that I always tell people who, when they call, they go, "Is it safe to park my car outside?"
I get it all the time too.
It's crazy. The only two times I have gotten my car broken into in my time here was in Walnut Creek. So I'm not trying to bash Walnut Creek, beautiful city,
But Walnut Creek? No.
but just to prove a point that living here for 26 years, I have never had an issue in Oakland. Now that being said, I'm also not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, it's amazing." It has its challenges, but you just kind of you have to have a little bit of street smart.
Mm.
You have to
Mhm.
watch your surroundings and just be careful. Just have common sense.
Yeah.
Don't leave things in your car. But that goes for any city.
Yeah.
I've traveled a lot. It goes that is the same in Barcelona. It's the same in Germany. It's the same in Rome. You know, in Ireland, where my wife is from, it's the same everywhere. So to answer your question, that's exactly why we opened Bocanova in downtown Oakland because we want to help to change that perception that people have about Oakland, that it's a dangerous city, that you shouldn't come, and this and that. I just completely disagree with that.
Yeah.
We live here. Now we have a business here. We provide jobs here. And there is some really, really wonderful human beings in Oakland. And I think the narrative needs to change. And I want to be part of that. I want to help change that narrative. And if that means that we do it through food and hospitality and drinks and good music in Boca Nova, then I've done my bit.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the city. I love the town. I think the town is unique in many ways. Um, and that's why the restaurant was open in Oakland, to change that. Because you're right, it'll be easier to say, hey, where is the most foot traffic and where is the people with the most money? Let's open it there. Because if you have a product, if you have a restaurant with good food, good cocktails, and you know you're going to give good service, naturally you're going to go, oh, let's go open it in, Sausalito, Walnut Creek, or whatever, all the best places. But that's not really the point, though. All those places already have a million restaurants and a million bars, and they have their clientele and all that. But we need more of that here in Oakland, a lot
I
more.
agree.
We need more restaurants. We need more bars. We need more clubs. I'm so happy to see finally, 26 years to see Henry Kaiser Center open, because by the lake, that huge building.
Hmm.
And now they're doing concerts. Jamie Foxx was there the other day for 3 nights in a row. You know.
Really?
Oh yeah.
How am I not in the know of this
Oh
stuff?
yeah, yeah. So the Henry Kaiser Center by the courthouse,
Okay.
they have been working on it for years, and it finally reopened. I don't know if it was late. I think it was late last year that it reopened. But now they're doing concerts, and they're doing music, and they're doing this and they're doing that. And I love that, because now you have the Paramount, you got the Fox, and you got the Henry Kaiser Center.
Wow.
And it just adds to the allure of Oakland. It brings people in, you know. If you walk by Lake Merritt at night, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking by the lake, this lake in the middle of a huge city like Oakland, and you have the backdrop of like downtown Oakland. It's stunning,
Yeah.
and yet all you hear in the news, it's this narrative that it's like, oh no, Oakland, don't go there. I want to change that, as much as I can.
Yeah, as much as
So,
you
so I
can.
think that is the reasoning why Bocanova is in Oakland, and not just in Oakland. It is now in downtown Oakland. In the
Yeah.
middle of it all, in the
And
heart.
you guys want to know something crazy? I mentioned this earlier to him, is when we were first moving into our campus in downtown Oakland, I noticed his address is 1111 Broadway.
Yeah,
And for me, I'm very big on angel numbers, and 1111 are my angel numbers. And I was like, I don't know what it means, but it
yeah,
means something.
yeah,
We're
yeah, yeah,
connected in some way.
yeah.
And if you really think about it, I mean, now you're here on my
Right.
podcast
Yeah, I
and
love it.
you're talking about your story. So it's just crazy to me how I noticed these little things like your address and how that aligns with me, and now you're here.
Yeah. It's all the universe talking.
Yes, it's all the universe, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I love the what you're trying to do with your restaurant in downtown Oakland. I think it's so, so important. I'm very big on community.
Yes.
And lately I have been making it my purpose to be more out in the community.
Right.
I've been going to different events. I've been volunteering. Um, and I've been meeting a lot of different founders. I'm working with a nonprofit organization that has a boxing gym in Oakland. It's in San Antonio Park,
Okay.
and she has created this outside boxing gym for
Oh,
kids,
cool. Oh,
for the
yeah.
youth. And all the proceeds go to the youth. It benefits them. So it's something I just started in February. But I'm very big also on the same thing as you, just in a different
Yeah.
way, I guess you could say. I'm
Yeah.
more like just everywhere I can be. And I try my best to give back as much as I can.
Right.
So I love that. I love that a
Yeah.
lot. And hopefully in the future we can collab and do some
I
community
would love
events
that.
too.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot too that I have like ideas that I want to
Yeah.
do, and I'm not gonna put it on here yet.
Yeah, not yet.
But, there's a lot of things that I'm working with other, people that want to make, like, community events, put things together, just so we can bring, back community,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's what's so important in these times, like,
Yes.
we need each other more than ever, and I know there's so much, like, chaos and things going on in the world, and just us being able to come together over
Right.
food, over
Yes.
drinks or coffee or mocktails,
Yes.
and have genuine conversation and help and empower one another. I think that's so important.
The conversation part is big, isn't it? I mean, I
Mhm.
think one of the things that I've seen that we as a community have lost, probably after the pandemic, is that the conversation aspect,
Mhm.
the dialogue, and the social aspect of it all. And we see it when we, obviously when we're in the restaurant running the day to day. We're always observing your tables, not just because we want to be nosy, but we're sort of watching body language as
Mm.
well, to see if you need something, or maybe you're not liking your dish, or maybe you're missing some salt or whatever. So we sort of become experts in body language, right? When you work in a restaurant, and I love that. It's all people watching. But whenever we host sometimes large groups for like companies who come in for like a social hour or whatever, you see it right off the bat. Like people are really losing the ability to communicate with one another in a normal manner, and I think a lot of it is social media.
Mm.
Everybody's like this with their phones. I hate it when I see a couple having dinner and
Yeah.
the two of them are like that. And you're looking and going, didn't you guys come here to like hang out?
Yes.
Didn't you come here to talk about life and hey, how's your dish and what are you doing tomorrow and this? It's crazy to me. I almost want to be like, I'm gonna confiscate this. Can you guys just talk to each other?
I was just gonna say, you know what you should start doing, which I don't think who knows, maybe people might actually go even more for it.
Yeah,
But I'm like, imagine if you like had this rule where if you come into the restaurant, you
yeah,
gotta put your phone in this
yes.
basket
I
and then
we
you get it
probably
after.
should. We probably should. I mean, some schools are doing that, which I will say I think it's good
Yes.
because phones. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I see education as such an important part of upbringing that I think phones should be confiscated and given to you when you leave. Then what happens at home is up to your parents. If they want to let you use the phone all day. But I agree. I think phones should be put away. Once you get to that table, I mean, you're meeting people to talk, to
Yeah.
conversate, to socialize, to laugh or cry or whatever, you know. But yeah, communication is the key.
I agree.
Yeah.
And transparent communication too, because I feel like sometimes a lot of us aren't honest with each other about things in general. And I think
Yes.
when we can be honest with each other with certain things, I feel like that's when we can grow our communication and connectiveness to each
Yes.
other.
I agree. I agree. I think communication needs to become more real.
Mm. Mhm.
I sometimes it bothers me because I now in the role that I am in the restaurant, I meet a lot of people. And sometimes I don't meet them in the restaurant like I meet them. And one thing that I would say that bothers me is that almost always the first question that people will ask you is, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "Why what do you
Why does
care?
that matter?
Why does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
matter? I would love it if people I love it when people come to me or at an event or whatever and they go, "Hey, what's your name?" And you say your name and you go, "Cool. And what's your background? Just tell me about you. I want to get to know you. What's your background, your heritage? Tell me your hobbies. I don't know. Like what I do for a living should be the last thing you should be asking me."
Yeah.
You know? And it also bothers me because I feel like the question, "What do you do?" is 100% going to determine how that conversation will continue. Like sometimes I feel like when people say, "What do you do?" is to kind of gauge how important is this person for me.
Mm.
And that bothers me so much, you know?
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. And it could make someone feel some type of way too. It's like
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and then they're like thinking about their job. They could be, let's say, someone that's doing a job that is like a busser, right? Or
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
They'd be like, "Well, I'm just a busser."
Yeah.
And that's not that brings their like self-esteem down even more.
It
It's like,
does.
"No, I'm a busser.
Yeah.
I'm not just a busser.
Yeah,
I'm a
but
busser."
it also doesn't define you.
Yes,
Like
it
what you
doesn't.
do for a living doesn't define you. I could be a busser and be the best human being in the world, and I could be a CEO and be the worst. So
Yeah.
it almost doesn't matter. I agree, and this is true, and I lived to this before because you know I was obviously a server for a long time, in many different restaurants. And you go to these social gatherings with your girlfriend or your wife, and people who are in tech or lawyers or whatever are like, "So what do you do?" And you go, "Oh, I work in a restaurant." And then they go, "And what do you do there?" So now you're talking to a lawyer who's asking you, and so now you're gonna say, "Oh, I wait tables." But you sometimes you see the clear reaction of like, "Oh, okay."
Mhm.
Moving
Then
on
you
sort of
know, like
deal. Yeah. Right.
let me just steer clear of this
Right, right,
person.
right. But the thing about it is, right, we might actually be missing out on a great relationship.
Agreed.
You know, I tell you that I'm a server. You don't know that I'm trilingual. You know what I mean? So I tell you that I'm a server, but you don't know that I travel the world. You just don't know.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that perspective.
yeah. So I think for me, I always make it a point. It was never part of my questioning when I meet somebody. What I do ask people is, "What's your heritage? Like, tell me about you. Like, what makes you up?
Yeah.
What's your cultural background?" Because I love that. I want to know that about you. You know?
Yes. And that's what I love about this podcast because it's obviously like it's about talking about what your business is, right? And starting it
Right,
from scratch. But really it's about you.
right,
Who's Martin?
right,
What have you gone through? What were the struggles of building a business? What were the struggles of coming from Japan to California?
right,
Like what did you actually go through? Your upbringing, your childhood? Cuz all of those things are you,
right. It's
right?
what makes
Not
you.
necessarily that you're this business owner in downtown Oakland. Although as a Latino, that is very important for us to acknowledge, right?
Yes, yes,
Because you did work from the ground up to build this.
right.
So I feel like it's my duty to remind you like
Yeah,
you did
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
You're
For
here.
sure.
You are that person.
Right.
But even if you weren't that person and you decided to still be a busser
Yeah,
and you're a good human being,
right.
you're still amazing.
Yeah,
You're still who you are.
yeah. 100%, 100%. But it is true. It is good to remind each other as Latinos.
Mm.
Same with you. You just graduated your master's.
Hey,
Congratulations. Well
thank
done.
you.
I think it's amazing. We need more of that, and it's not easy. It's not easy. You almost have the current against you. Like when you're a minority, it's not easy at all. So yeah, I do. I often take time to remind myself of where I have landed now after all these years. But I definitely, the one thing I don't do is forget where I came from. There
I
were
love
times when I
that.
was cleaning tables, there were times when I was washing dishes, there were times when I was getting yelled at a table because I took the order wrong. Um, but then you keep going and you keep going and you keep grinding until you land in a position like now where I own this restaurant, and I'm in charge of this amazing team of professionals who their sole job is to make your life better once you come through that door. Take care of you in any way that we can,
Yeah.
and then hopefully send you home happy. You know?
I mean, the experiences I've had going to your restaurant every single time, phenomenal customer service. I always feel like I'm VIP.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Seriously. So
yeah.
I really do
Thank you.
appreciate that about you. And I can tell that you have a great character, your personality, and you are who you are, even at the restaurant when you're there, and also outside here doing this podcast. Like
Right.
you are that person.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I always remind my staff. I tell them because going out is expensive. Living in
Mhm.
California is expensive. So going out, deciding to go out is a conscious choice.
Mhm.
And I always tell them, I go, these people have decided to come spend their time and money with us. We got to make sure that they're happy. We got to make sure that all of their needs are met and do our absolute best. You might not get to 100%, but we will try, in order to make sure that you feel that way. Like you say, you feel like a VIP. I want you to feel like a VIP. I want all of my guests to feel like a VIP. I want to remember them. I try my best, to remember them, to remember what they like. Like if they like a certain wine list, I love nothing more than looking, at him and saying, "Hey, are you having that glass of Chardonnay again?" And
Uh-huh. You're remembering the little
but who
things.
doesn't love that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just by doing that, I know that I just made you happy because that person's gonna say, "Oh my God, you remember." And yes, I do remember. All of those little details are extremely important.
They are.
Yeah.
Seriously. Because nowadays people don't really pay attention to those little things. And for you to be able to do that, it really can make their day.
Yes, I agree.
Just like,
And when
wow.
and when we do, our job is done. When we do, our job is done.
I love that.
Yeah.
I have another question for you. Was there a moment when you were pursuing opening up Bocanova and you were just like, You know what? I can't do this. I give up. But then you kept going.
Oh yeah, for
What
sure.
was that like? How did you get through it?
So Bocanova is it's also community,
Mm,
because obviously to open a restaurant like Bocanova, to open any kind of business, a lot of the times you need a lot of money. You need investors, unless somehow you won the lottery and you can open it on your own. But the majority of the times you need investors, you need people to help
yeah.
you. And so talk about trying to gather investors right after a pandemic for a restaurant, not less, was that was an interesting ride for sure. Because some people looked at me like I was crazy. And I don't even blame them.
Yeah.
You're coming up to people saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about it's 2021, right after the pandemic." Most people are still masked up. I don't even remember if the vaccines were available or not yet. I don't think they were until like late 2021. But you're coming out to them going, "Hey, I have this great idea of opening this restaurant in downtown Oakland." And they're looking at you going, "Are you insane? Like a restaurant in the middle of a pandemic? Like that will never happen. Like why would I give you money?" So that was tough. And so, I did the reach out to I started with a lot of people that I knew. I happen to have one of my investors is a dear friend of mine who's Japanese, who I met in Lenny College when he was a teacher's assistant. And he has a separate job, but he also went into a partnership with three other guys and opened a Japanese restaurant
Mm.
on the other side of the bay. So I reached out to him first, and he was interested. He was like, "Let me see the business plan. Let me see the place." And he goes, "I want to go see it." I said, "Okay, absolutely." So we went and saw the place that where Bocanova now stands, and he loved it. He loved the front more,
Mm.
where the bar is, which
Oh, yeah,
there
that's
was
beautiful.
there was nothing there before. It was an empty room. But when you are in it and you see out those windows into downtown Oakland and you see the Tribune Tower, it's beautiful. So much light. And so he said to me, "How are you approaching these like inquiries for investors?" And I say, "I'm just emailing people the business plan." He goes, "That's not good." And I was like, "Okay, I'm
Straight
all
up.
ears." Straight up. He did not mince his words. He goes, "You need to bring them here." And I said, "Okay, that makes sense." So that's what I started doing. But I had already been looking for investors for 8 months and I had zero. And so to answer your question, that's when both of us, Chef Rick and I, were like, "I don't think this is going to happen." I mean, I want it to happen.
Yeah.
We know we have a product, we have a menu, we have a concept, but if you don't have the money, you have nothing. And trying to convince people that giving me money in the middle of a pandemic to open a restaurant, that was tough. That was tough. But a lot of it came from community. A lot of it came from good friends of mine and then friends of theirs who trusted me through that
Mm.
middle person, you know. But that was the hardest part. The hardest part was, I suppose, trying to come up with the funding for a restaurant, which they believed in. They believed in the concept. They knew of my trajectory in the restaurant business.
Mhm.
They had seen me operate in previous restaurants, like in the Ferry Building at Market Bar. So the question wasn't, can Martin and Chef Rick get this done? Will it be a success? The question was, do we want to put money into a restaurant in the middle of a pandemic? So
Yeah.
that was probably the one thing where we almost abandoned it until this friend of mine came along. He was our first investor, and he goes, "You know what? I'm gonna believe in you." And I was like, "Oh my god, that's amazing." And we signed, but he said, "But you need to bring them in here," and he was absolutely right, because as soon as he signed. And I reached out to people who I have sent the information to and say, "Hey, no strings attached. I just want to bring you in. I want you to see it in person. I want you to visualize it." And that changed everything because people came in. I gave them the tour. I explained to them the area, like the potential of all the businesses around, and being able to be right in the middle of all that. And you could tell that they saw it in their head. They were like, "Okay, I see it now. I visualize it now." And within 6 months, we had the funding.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So we went almost a year with zero. And as soon as that changed and the approach changed, we had it. And
What's crazy is that the place was still available.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yes and no, Veronica,
Oh,
because
people were
if you
trying to.
really think about it, two things, right? Restaurants are so volatile right now that I don't think you have to be pretty crazy to actually say, I'm going to go open a restaurant right now. You have to be very brave because,
Very delusional.
yes, also, and a little bit crazy, a little bit of all those things because there is no predictability in the restaurant industry right now.
Mm.
Zero. You know, back in the day, you kind of trusted that everything started on Monday, right? Monday was okay, Tuesday was a little better. Then Wednesday, it's like the middle of the week, you get a little happy hour going. Thursday, you start climbing up and getting busy. Friday, you're slammed. Saturday, same. Sunday, then you drop back down. So it was sort of a pyramid, a long pyramid, and then it dropped, and again and again.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore, as far as I can tell.
I'm
So
yeah, I mean, I can imagine too, just with like the economy and how gas prices are coming up. Like people are
everything.
probably like, you know what, mejor me hago en la
Sí,
casa.
sí, un burrito en la casa y unos huevitos y ya.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or some cup of
Yo,
noodles.
something. Yeah. I
And
don't,
rents
yeah.
going up. Things are going up. So I
Everything is going up. And at the same time, obviously the base products for us to run the restaurant have gone up like crazy. We can't just pass that on to you.
yeah,
I can't be like, oh, hey, the burger was, 17 last week and now it's 24. You're gonna be like, okay, I'm not coming back.
yeah,
So you gotta find a way to keep that within while you can still operate a business, pay your employees, pay your purveyors, and somehow run this business that is unpredictable because you could be slammed on a Monday, which was never heard of, and completely dead on a Friday. So it's pretty crazy. It's a wild ride. And how do you plan for it? How do you schedule people when you just don't know when you're gonna be busy?
yeah.
It's crazy. I don't even know. I don't even know. I know how we've done it, but it's pretty crazy. Running a restaurant in 2026 is for the brave. Uh, it really is.
I I bet.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do have to acknowledge you though, because you really went for it, and you said that for like 8 months you were
Yeah.
reaching out to
Oh
investors
yeah.
and you were getting nothing, but that
Zero.
didn't make you stop. That made you kept going.
Right.
And that says a lot about you and how passionate you were about opening this restaurant. And I want people that are listening to know that, sometimes we see people as these CEOs, business owners, founders, etc., but we don't really know that hard work that it took for them to get there and the hurdles,
Oh
the
yeah.
struggles, the no's before you
Mm-hmm.
got the actual yes, the
Right.
work you put into opening the restaurant. And especially during a
Oh
pandemic, a
yeah.
little bit after the pandemic, like,
Yeah.
and in a time where things are still unsure to this day.
Very
But
much
the
so.
fact that you believed in yourself and you had faith, look at how it hopefully excelling. I mean,
Oh
feel
yeah.
it's excelling, and I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
your business is growing, and I feel like downtown Oakland now is a lot more busier than it
It
was in the
is.
past. Um, so shout out to your investor who invested in you because
Yes.
he saw the vision and it's happening.
But but it was, yes, absolutely. But it was also out of love and trust, right? I mean, here's
Yes.
this
Yes.
friend, because you're talking money. So once you
Yeah.
talk money, the friendships are kind of put aside, and now you're talking business
Yeah.
with the worry that if this goes sour, that friendship might, it will hurt.
Yeah.
And so it's a big commitment for sure. I do feel the heavy responsibility of doing the absolute best we can for them as well, because they're the ones who they put their money, down to say, I believe in you. And it is because of them that now we have this beautiful restaurant that where we have all these wonderful employees that can come and work in a place where they feel safe and make good money and enjoy, doing what they do best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No, it's good.
thank you for sharing all of this.
Yeah.
And as we slowly close down, I do want to ask, if your younger self
Yeah.
could see you today,
Uh-huh.
what do you think he'd say?
I think he will be proud. I think he will be proud, you know. I think of that all the time too. Um so now I do things knowing that my daughter, my 8-year-old daughter, is seeing what her dad is doing, right?
Mhm.
And I want her to hear it from other people. Like I want people to naturally say, "Oh my God, your dad is great. I love your dad. He's so wonderful." Blah, blah. For me, everything I do for her because I want to make her proud. I want her to be proud of her father, and I want her to have a good life. But yeah, I think my younger self will be pretty proud.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so too. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's crazy to think that you went from Peru to Japan
oh,
to almost New Jersey to
yeah,
California, and just seeing how your life kind of panned out and you started from the ground up and now you're here,
right.
a business owner, to a great restaurant in a
Thank
beautiful
you.
city, beautiful customer service, amazing employees. And it's sometimes it's important for us to take a moment and really feel the moment,
Oh yeah, I
and just
agree.
sit in it and be like, damn, I am him.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
really did that. I made it through all the struggles. I moved past it. I didn't give up. I gave my daughter an amazing life, my partner, my family. I'm someone that someone can look up to.
yeah.
Like, this is that moment for you
Oh,
to
for sure. I,
to
I,
soak that in.
for sure. I will say though, just out of acknowledgement, it's in order to be able to do something like what I do, you do need to have a solid partner for
Mhm.
sure. Because like the first year that we were open, both Rick and I worked 7 days a week for a whole year.
Damn.
And that was probably crazy on our part. I'm pretty sure we could have done with 6 days. You know what I mean? But we were so in it, wanting to make sure that everything at the restaurant was done at the level that we wanted it to be done. Um, that we just worked like crazy. And so obviously the family side suffers a lot.
Yeah.
So I I will shout out to my wife.
Hey.
Yeah,
Shout out to the
who
wifey.
who I will say without her, and I always tell her, I hope she knows that without her and her support with everything in the house and taking care of our daughter and all of that, none of this will be possible. So this is, you know, all of this, the culmination of all of this effort is um is a source of pride for me as well as I hope for her because this was a team effort in that regard. We live under one roof. We have one daughter that we're raising together, but if it wasn't for all of her help and countless hours of doing everything in the house while I was away at the restaurant, it would not be done. Now in the third year, I'm able to now I have my full 2 days off.
Mhm.
I'm able to, go pick up my daughter from school, take her to karate classes and this and that, and pull back a little bit, if you may, um, to spend more time with the family, with my daughter, and give her a break as much as I can. But yeah, just a shout out that without
Yeah,
her, it
hell
wouldn't
yeah,
be
shout her
possible.
out. I
Yeah,
love that. I'm all about positivity in relationships, like being in a solid relationship with someone that pushes you, empowers you,
yeah,
and supports you through your journey of entrepreneurship.
right.
Because being an entrepreneur, being a business owner is not
Yes.
easy. There's a
No,
lot of sacrifices that come into it. And I'm just stepping into it.
right.
So I'm seeing it for myself and how many things I have to say no to, or
Yes.
it's a lot. It's not a 9 to 5 where you clock in 9 and you clock
No,
out 5. Nope, this is like 24/7,
it's
and the ideas come
24/7.
up randomly, and then you're
Yep.
like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So it's beautiful to hear that you have a partner
Yeah.
who empowers you, who supports you, and was willing to pick up the slack at home, pick
Yeah.
up the things at home while you were busy building this legacy for your family,
Yeah. Right. Right.
essentially. So that says a lot about you. That says a lot about your wife.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to have had you on here and hear more about your overall story in general. And as we close down, what advice would you give someone who wants to start a business, wants to start a restaurant? Is there one thing that you'd want to leave them with?
I will say persist. If you believe in something and you have this idea and you want to do something like opening a restaurant, a coffee shop, I don't think there's anything worse than not doing it out of
Mhm.
fear because it's scary. It's so scary. You step out of becoming an employer and becoming a boss is so hard because you're it, right? Everybody's looking up to you for guidance and what do I do and this and that. Um, but I didn't want to have the what if
Mm.
when I'm 60, 70 and be like, oh, I should have done this. No, you know what, do it. And if it goes great, amazing, good for you. And if it doesn't, for whatever reason, you're gonna leave with a lot of life lessons out of that. It's gonna change who you are. It's gonna change how you think. It might make you think, you know what? I didn't do it right like this in the first time. Let's do it again. And now I got it. But if you have any inclination um, that you want to do something, open a restaurant, do a business, whatever that may be, do it. Just like Nike.
Just
Just
do
do
it.
it.
You know what? At this point, Nike needs to sponsor this
100%.
podcast because
100%.
someone
Just
else
do
said
it.
it too. Just do it like
Yeah.
Nike. And then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we need to sponsor this podcast.
Yes. Nike, hello.
Hello,
Shoes,
are you
anything,
there?
t-shirts, hoodies, we'll take them all.
We just let us know, this is for a good cause. We're doing
Yes.
good things
Yes.
here.
For the future. No, you have to do it. You have to push through the fear and you have to do
It's
it because it's all part of living, right?
Mhm.
It's like pushing through the fear and doing something that takes you out of your comfort zone is part of living. It makes you feel like you are living. It's scary, and you're like, every day you're like, is it gonna be okay today? You know what? I guess we'll find out. But just do it anyway.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love that. Fear is a real thing, and it's what holds us back. It's what holds us back a lot.
100%.
And I get it when people are like, "Ugh,"
Yeah,
but when you just go and you're persistent, like you said,
yeah,
you'll get to your goal.
yeah,
You just you gotta
yeah.
push through all the no's. You gotta push through all of that.
And you gotta work hard. I mean, look at
Hmm.
you. You just graduated with your master's. That's amazing. I mean, I know for a fact there were endless nights of studying and exams and tiredness. You're like, I want to go to bed, but I gotta do this project. But you push through it and look at you now. You're done. You did it. And that's amazing. And you too. You ought to be proud of that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
as a Latina, as a woman, that's amazing.
We're breaking barriers, breaking ceilings.
Every day we're breaking barriers and proving that we can. Que sí se
Sí,
puede.
sí se
Uh-huh.
puede.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you. And then, where can people find you? Where can they support you? How can they support you?
Thank you. Yes, well, the restaurant is located in the heart of Oakland at 1111 Broadway. We're right on Broadway between 11th and 12th. If it makes it easier, we're right across from the Marriott Hotel. Uh, Beautiful restaurant. They did a really great job. We have a beautiful patio that oversees the stunning skyline of downtown Oakland. We have a
It's beautiful.
beautiful bar. We have a dining room. We have a second patio and a private room in the back. So, yeah, it's Bocanova. It's Pan American. It's Latin American. It's delicious. It's saucy. Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. We can't wait to see you there.
Yes, come through. And if you come by, tell them I sent you.
So you can always contact us through the website. It's bocanovaoakland.com. We offer catering to all the businesses around as well. So if there's a need for that, just shoot us an email and we'll be happy to return the information, whatever that may be, breakfast, lunch, dinner, cocktails, offsite bar. We'll do it all. We'll bring
And let
music too.
and let me tell you guys, we have booked him for my last job, and amazing job. Like your setup, the food, the drinks, everything is phenomenal. So just know you
Thank
get your
you.
money's worth.
Thank you. No, we do. We work very hard. We know what it takes to earn that money, and we want to make sure that you feel that it was well spent. For sure, that we're always conscious of that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much
Of
for being
course.
here.
Yeah.
I
This was
truly,
awesome.
truly appreciated it.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. I really am grateful to have had you on here, hear more about you and your upbringing and Bocanova and what you have in store, what is in store
Thank
for
you.
you.
I
So thank you.
appreciate that. I'm grateful for your friendship. I love that we met what at your last job, and you've always been very sweet, very encouraging. And I'm
That's
now
just
as I
me.
yeah, but now as I get to know you more and more, and we develop this friendship, I see your private life side of it with this, latest accomplishment in your life, and this podcast. I'm all about it. I love it. I'm number one fan. Keep it up.
Yay.
Keep it up.
I love it, you guys. And one thing about, what's funny before we close off, I think one thing that's important as a business owner, founder, whatever you have, it's so important to tell people what you do.
Right.
Well, I know we talked about earlier that not to tell,
Yeah, yeah,
but,
yeah.
but like if you're building something, like for instance this podcast, if I don't tell you that I have a podcast, you wouldn't know.
Right.
So if you're out there and you're starting a podcast or you're starting something, when you meet people, you might not want to tell them the first
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
tell him
yeah.
the first day I met him,
Right.
but as we got to know each other, I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah,
somehow
yeah.
it came up. I've been learning the importance of actually telling people what you do, because they won't know that you have
Right.
a podcast,
Yeah.
right? And in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, I felt weird saying, "Oh yeah, I have a podcast." Like I felt more timid.
Right.
But the more I started doing it, the more I started realizing, well, people need to know
Right.
what I'm doing. Otherwise, they won't know
Yeah.
and they can't support me.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
I just want to
absolutely.
make sure I throw that in there for anyone out there that is starting something, has a podcast. The importance of when you do build these genuine friendships and connections, like how can we support each other? Oh, by the way, I also do this,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. I agree. Again, it all goes back to the power of community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes, me too.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much.
of
We're closing
course.
down now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Like always, go ahead and put some comments down there. Let us know what you liked about the show. Do you have any questions for me? Any questions for Martin? Um, like, subscribe, share with your friends, family. I truly, truly appreciate you guys for tuning in. And until next time, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.